This is what the Woodland Trust is supplying. Little whips, can you see? So, grown in something a little bit smaller than a toilet tube. This one's a little bit of an oddball. So obviously I'll plant it that way, so it goes towards the sun, which is that way. I'm going to plant my silver birch and my hornbeam in this area. So the Woodland Trust also provide these. So, staves for putting in the trees. They're quite tall, chest high. And then also, 50 rabbit protectors. I'm really grateful to conservation volunteers. To the Woodland Trust for providing me with trees, but for sheer bulk and rapidity of putting in trees, you just can't beat willow. So this was taken off one shrub. It's not particularly big, and if anything, removing this material will improve its longevity. But the thing is that I actually put on some rabbit protection in my first batch of trees, but these cost as much per tree, or possibly more, than the actual trees themselves. So just buy 2 or 3 times as many trees and save on these. And then even if you have a mortality rate of 30%, then you're still just spending as much money. And I've also found that it took just about as much time to put these on. And then of course you have to take them off and then dispose of all the rubbish later. So yeah, I just didn't bother. I might be lucky that there just aren't that many rabbits around my parts. But yeah, just give it a go. Fire it in, learn from experiment. And I mean, no, that's the only way to get to know your environment, really. So here's my planned pond. I'm going to plant my silver birch and my hornbeam in this area. There's not actually very much hornbeam around Ireland. I'm not sure why, but it seems to do well in damp. It says it does well in damp, marshy areas, which this is. And so does silver birch. There's not very much silver birch here. You can see that's a tawny birch, a red birch. I think that one, yeah, they're mostly all tawny birches, but it'll add to the variety. When I'm planting stuff, I don't like to plant on paths. So you can see that's a track, animal track, and they give the place a little bit of structure. And there's usually some, I don't want to say logic to them, but practicality to them. And they were here before us. So for instance, in that section, you can see like a triangle. One here and one there. So this area here can be filled in. Probably do birch there. Hornbeam, birch, hornbeam. That sounds like a strategy. And that way is south. And the rest will be guesswork as far as too much light or not enough light getting on the pond. But we'll see. So mostly a nice sod of turf, grass roots, some fern roots. But yeah, generally most of the structure is coming from the grass roots at this point, with only some tendrils running onto the ground. So I'm not refilling the hole because I want to keep the weeds and vegetation back, but I am loosening the soil. Although in fairness, you can just make a hole, widen it out and stick your slip in, and that seems to work a lot of times, like maybe 80%. And that way south, and I'm putting them in so that the slip is facing away from south to try and encourage it to straighten up. The sun is doing quite a nice thing over there. Night night blackthorn. Night night wind bushes. So this one on the other hand has very little grass structure. Plenty of rotten stuff. Right. This sort of stuff. What lies beneath. Yeah, it looks like some of these were hit a little bit harder with the frost last night. I mean, it's not too bad. Like, not all the leaves have been killed, but they have curled up a little bit and gone a bit black. So this is the richest part of the soil. I used to think that deeper down was full of nutrients and stuff, but nope. The top 1 or 2 centimeters. You can see that quite nicely actually. Just there. Pretty sure that's where basically all nutrients are. And then this provides access to water and to, well, I mean, some minerals and stuff. But yeah, in there is the decaying materials where most of our goodness is. But you can see the difference between this sort of structure and the bracken roots that I find, well, interesting and terrifying. Interesting and an existential threat to my trees and habitat. South points north, Grove Street. Ireland doesn't have moles, but if it did, you might find some sort of craziness like this. So there's a tree, and there's a tree, and there's a tree, and there's a tree. I mean, I could go on. So these are all from the Woodland Trust. They were subsidised. They came with some rabbit protectors. There are definitely rabbits around here, but I haven't lost any trees to rabbits that I've seen. I'd lose far more to frost. Even then, I think the success rate is something like 80% or more. But why would a rabbit bother nipping away at bark whenever it's got plenty of grass and other stuff to go for around here? I guess I will get somewhat lost in the bracken as well in good time. And as I said yesterday, there is some sense to what I've done as far as, I mean, you got the pond there. I want some light coming in from the south. I've respected the tracks which are running, and then I've also planted in little triangles. And although the trees are too close together, I mean, they're probably about 1.5 meters, 4 foot apart. They're 5 foot, whatever. Sorry to all those 5 foot tall people. What I've done is, although they're quite close together, most of them have an edge. So, like these 3 could be said to be too close together, but each one has an edge. So, facing out this way, facing out that way, and so on. People do tend to plant everything too close together, and I know I can be as much guilty of that as anybody else. Because you never really, it's hard to picture what it's going to look like when it's like fully grown. I'm going to have a little go with this. So it was sand and gravel up above. This is turning into clay. This is probably too dark to see much. And hey, hello. Yeah, so this is kind of clay and sand. And it does sparkle. Now that might be mica, that might be gold. There's a particular Canadian mining company who have a lot of vested interest in mining this place, and whether or not that's for our benefit or for theirs, well, it's mostly for their benefit, but we might get some. But well, to their benefit, and to what extent it is to our detriment is a big question. So, but partly that's mica that sparkles. So whenever you walk in the stream or the burn over there, then what you get is that you get that caked into your trousers and clothes, and yeah, it's a pretty cool effect. As far as digging these type of holes, especially in boglands, can be really useful. Partly the best way to do it though is with explosives, but in Northern Ireland they're a little bit reticent about letting us run around with explosives, because we, got a bit of a reputation, and not for the best. It's getting quite dark all of a sudden, even with the hour change. It's almost like the sun doesn't recognise it. My dad has a notion about doing some planting some willow, and possibly going for a willow sculpture. So I'm going to trim this back. I know you can see nothing, but that's a pity. And because they're all from the same tree, there's probably more chance of them growing together into a single unit, is what I'm thinking. But I'll take some from the bottom of here and show you how it works. We are so small between the stars, so large against the sky, and lost amongst the subway crowds. I try to catch your eye, or in some sort of forest somewhere. But I'd say that was about 10 minutes, and I'd say this is 50 odd pieces of stick. You can't see anything. Damn low battery, and each one of them can grow into a perfectly functional tree. They're all genetically identical, but yeah, trees are the strange thing that whenever they create seeds, they really don't care too much about their DNA, so they take a lot more risks with their mutations than animals can afford to. So you haven't got quite the same problem of selective breeding. Yeah, you can see how bushy that one is, and now this one. You can't see. Silhouette. Different silhouette. So you completely change the characteristic of the tree, but you change it from one characteristic tree into a different characteristic tree. That is the idea. And this is leggy, and I'd say beautiful as well. And I'll do something similar to these ones, and then that'll create, it's amazing how quickly you can populate an area with willow. And beyond a certain point, hopefully they'll seed. Night. Oh yes, and with these, that's whenever a little piece of string comes in. Particularly useful. Night. Oh! I'm really grateful to Conservation Volunteer, to the Woodland Trust for providing me with trees, but for sheer bulk and rapidity of putting in trees, you just can't beat willow. So this was taken off one shrub. It's not particularly big, and if anything, removing this material will improve its longevity. And my dad now will hopefully go and plant these at some stage. Even if he doesn't plant them anytime soon, the fact they're sitting in water will mean that they'll just root up like crazy. This willow is a little bit more structural than the usual willow we get around here, which would be crack and goat willow. It's much more bendy, whereas this one here grows a bit straighter. There are a reasonable variety of willow with their own characteristics. I think you get the willow in the ground, let them root, and then you can just sort of fiddle with it as the years go on.